Hello everyone. Since the launch of this tutorial series on OSX application development, I have received several requests on more tutorials about the NSCollectionView. So starting from today, I'm going to talk about NSCollectionView again. It is again because it was done on day 3 with a simple introduction. But if you have been looking around for the NSCollectionView information, actually there's not much out there. The main reasons is because of the new um, improvement of NSCollectionView in WWDC 2015, especially written in Swift. So what I'm going to do is to go again into NSCollectionView using Swift and Storyboard with the APIs implemented in 2015, which implies the OSX 10.11 and Capitan. So let's have a quick look. Today we first want to identify what is the legacy part of NSCollectionView and what is the new things implemented in 2015. So back to this project. This is a new project, and I'm going to add CollectionView to it. So as you can see, when I drag CollectionView into the storyboard, there is a linkage created here as well, namely the prototype, and linking up to a CollectionView item. In here, CollectionView is like the container of all the contents of the CollectionView. Each part of the content can be identified as CollectionView item. This has been used for a long time, and it is still being used for the new kind of NSCollectionView. However, this linkage here, as some of you may notice, it is not working for the current Xcode version. However, from the name that implies, which is a prototype, actually it is coming from an attribute of NSCollectionView called the item prototype. This is an indication of a legacy usage of NSCollectionView. So whenever you see like prototype or item prototype, they are the attribute coming from like a long way of NSCollectionView. We will not use this, so we can just delete it for now. Just in case you want to find like the old usage of NSCollectionView, I would suggest you to view some other tutorials available on YouTube or other platforms. Then go to CollectionView, and first I'm going to set some auto layout to it. Of course, auto layout is the new part coming up recently. I just set it to the 4 buttons of the super view, and then go to the CollectionView part here, and let's see, sometimes Xcode is not really refreshing. I need to go to another file and come back in again. Okay, here you are. Inside CollectionView, for the layout part, you can find this menu here. It's currently selecting content away, and legacy is stating that this selection is for legacy support. The legacy one use data binding with an array or array controller to provide the data of the collection view. It is the old usage of the NS collection view. For the new one, introduced in 2015, it is using the view layout, which can be the default one, grid or flow provided by Apple, or you could implement your own custom view layout. These are all available since 2015 at Capitan. For now, I will just choose flow layout as an example. As you can see, it shows like item size, header, footer size, etc. These are very similar to the iOS counterpart. So if you have been developing iOS app using collection view, it looks very familiar. And for this new API, it is also using data source as the way to provide the data to the collection view. So just like in iOS, we will need to link up the data source protocol or the delegate method to the class that you want to implement the data source methods. For instance, we'll just use the wheel controller here. So I will be just dragging from collection view to wheel controller and choose data source. The first or very first thing to do with collection view, of course, is just to provide the data to it. So we can go to the wheel controller. While we are linking up data source to this wheel controller class, and can implement those methods. And there are only two methods needed for showing up some of the data. As an extension of view controller and implements the NSCollectionView data source. As mentioned in other tutorial, this way will be more clear to show the different methods from different protocol. The first method I will need is the collection view number of items in session. Just like the iOS counterpart, I could have multiple sections in a collection view. But for now, we will just make it simpler to use just one session. And I'm returning the number of items in this one session. Say I'll be returning 2. The other method necessary is the collection view item for represent object and index path. This API doesn't look like the same as the iOS counterpart, but there is some legacy reason for NSCollectionView. Like the represent object is being used for a long time. In the update of NSCollectionView in Coca, I guess the Apple team would just use something similar to improve the API. In here, we need to provide the what the layout look like for each item in the current collection view. So for instance, most of us would just think, maybe I could implement the wheel, the default wheel, or the layout in the same storyboard. Just like possibly I could make use of this collection view item. Although it is possible, say I could just drag the layout here and then making use of the storyboard to find this collection view item using the storyboard ID. But there is a problem. By using this way, NSCollectionView at the moment won't know the frame of these collection view item. So the layout being shown will be just stacked on top of every item created. This is not so good. So what could be improved is to just detach this collection view item into a lib file, and then using an API called collectionView.makeItem with identifier. In this case, NSCollectionView will make the new item for each index path, and NSCollectionView will know to lay out them in an offset position. So for example, I can now create a separate class. Let's call it wheel. Maybe I'm going to make application showing some images. So possibly I could just call it image collection view item. This is a subclass of NSCollectionView item, and I will need the zip file for the user interface. In this user interface, right now it's just a view, so I need to add an object to it, and this object is a class of the image collection view item, and this points to the view by dragging the outlet here. So now the interface here will show, and based on the use of the image collection view item class, I could now make some changes on the size, say 300 width and 100 height, and then put a label over there, setting it to the horizontal and vertically aligned center in this view. Now going back to view controller, this identifier would be the name of the class here, as well as the lib file. Collection view will go to the lib file and find, actually it goes to the class to find this class name and try to find the layout in the lib file, and then create the particular NSCollectionView item. And we'll pass the index path here. CollectionView will use these information in order to lay out those items in using the layout you have chosen. Right now is the flow layout. So now to run the application, it shows like this. In order to see like what's around the label, we can go to the Xcode. Here there is a debug wheel hierarchy. As you can see from the side, this is now an NSWheel. This NSWheel is provided by the collection view item lib, and the label is within the lib. It lays out vertically, but since we have just 2 items here and the width is too little, so they would just lay out first horizontally and then vertically. Say I could just increase the number of items here. Now it shows like this. And when I resize the window, as you can see, it will try to lay out each item first horizontally and then vertically. By the way, where should I set the size of each item? I will go to the storyboard, go to the collection view, make sure you are selecting collection view here, and then go to this attribute inspector. You will see the item size here. I could change it, say, to 100 width and 50 height. So now it's showing wider. And the use of wheel debug hierarchy, we can see like click each wheel here, and the width is 100 and height is 50. If I choose different wheel here, you will see the XY coordinate is changing as well. Collection view use the wheel layout, currently the flow layout, and calculate the XY axis. Then put the wheel on the collection view. Just in case you are implementing your own custom layout, you will need to calculate those X and Y coordinate yourself. So there are some questions about using flow layout. For instance, the common question is that whether I can set a variable size to each item. And to answer this and let most of you to know, it's currently not available to do this. You may find some say Stack Overflow questions saying that you could just set the collection view to item size 0 and 0 here, but it won't work. And it is believed that it's currently a bug in NSCollectionView. Right now, if I set to 0, 0, it will just show nothing. If I check the debug hierarchy here, it even failed. Let's see. Try to run it again. And then the debug hierarchy, it will just fail. So it is not working if you just set the width and height to 0. So basically you need to fix the width and height for every item. In this case, it may be good for say it is a Finder, then every icon there is just the same size, or it is a photo album where it's showing the thumbnails, which could be just the same. However, if you want more customized use of the collection view, likely you will need to implement the custom layout and then calculate both the sizes and the location manually. So I will end the session today here, and for the following days I will try to build a photo album application and then answer as many questions as possible. For instance, if you want to get more information about NSCollectionView, I will highly recommend you to view the WWDC 2015 NSCollectionView session. It has a lot of details in the new APIs, and it will show you some of the examples built by the Apple team. So let's end the session today and see you tomorrow.